That's a little dangerous. Little dangerous.
Yeah, we should get this guy on the phone. Let's call him up and see what he's about. What's his name? Byron? Everyone in the media is talking to this guy in the next week or two. I mean, everybody.
Really?
Yeah, 60 Minutes is doing a piece.
Yeah, pretty much everybody's talking to him. I'll tell you on the phone, but...
Yeah,
White power.
We found out about him.
Where's he from?
He was in Newsweek. He's from Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota?
Yeah, it's Byron.
Yeah.
He's 33. He looks like he's about 50. He's got this record label that I can't pronounce. What
They
is
got
it?
a picture? Panzerfaust. Oh, yeah, he looks like a big Nazi.
Yeah, his record company's been around 5 years and has quickly become one of the top white power record labels in the country. There's a lot of white power record labels.
Who knew?
they couldn't behave any worse than the Source Awards.
Hey, Byron.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Hey, what's happening, bud?
Well, we read the article in Newsweek, and we got samples of your music.
Your catchy little ditties.
Yeah, people like people haters, huh?
Huh?
What?
People like the people haters, huh?
People like
haters
the
of the
people
group.
haters? Yeah.
Yeah.
People seem to like the people like the tunes.
Well, even skinheads have a sense of humor, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
that's
you know,
that's what we're trying to figure out here. It's like
it's kind of a sense of humor that's a little,
hateful.
little hateful.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
So
guess,
this philosophy that these songs are spreading around, it's one you believe in?
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, sure.
It's your mission to spread the word around. And what is the basic philosophy of Panzerfaust?
Well, really, we're just we're a pro-white music company. We produce white power rock and roll.
But instead of just being like pro-white and white pride, it seems like you're also anti, black, gay, Jewish, Arab. And in order to be proud of being white, does that necessarily go hand in hand with having to hate people that aren't?
Well, we don't necessarily hate people. I mean,
It does sound like it from the song lyrics. It sounds very hateful, Byron.
well, I mean that's fine, but I mean, listen, there's rap music with lyrics like "Kill the white people, make 'em hurt," "Kill the white people, but buy my record first." But nobody accuses Time Warner of hating white people, but that's the lyrics they produce.
He's got a valid point.
Good point.
I agree 100% with that. There's a lot of rap songs that are, it's a double standard if a white guy like Byron puts out a song that preaches white power and white pride, and at the same time bashes blacks. He's labeled racist, hateful. But the black record companies can put out anti-white rhetoric, and it's just music that is backed by major record companies.
It's seen as a view. I'm sorry.
No, what's that, Jim?
It's seen as a view into the mind of urban youth.
Right,
as opposed to
right.
hateful.
And is that what you're doing? This is kind of an answer back to a lot of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we've got tens of thousands of customers in over 40 different countries. There's a growing backlash among the white population that are tired of the double standards, and one of those double standards is what the blacks are allowed to get away with. For example, they can be millionaires for singing about killing and hurting white people. They can win Grammy Awards. They can get movie roles. But if you're a white guy and you sing the same thing about them, then you get asked why you're a hate monger, and maybe you get raided by the gang strike force and sent to prison for hate crimes.
Yeah, that's kind of, you know what it is, though? That is just kind of the way it is. And, there's really, it is a double standard, yes, but it's just the way it is, and I really don't see that changing.
Well, it may not change, but what people are going to have to get used to is, see, we've had to move over in this country for decades. We've had to move over for homosexuals. We've got
how has homosexuality made you move over, like interrupted or interfered with your lifestyle?
Well, in little ways, but in ways that people have to put up with every day. For example, there are safe zones in high schools for homosexual kids, and there are gay clubs that the school has to pay for and sponsor, but the straight pride kids get kicked out of school. And the straight kids can't wear Confederate flag belt buckles because that offends some other group. What I'm saying is we've had to move over and be tolerant for every group in this country, and we're ready and willing to be the target of some of that tolerance ourselves.
Byron, just let me ask you a question. And is part of it, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but is part of that tolerance, people could say, well, that's just a reaction to a lot of vicious behavior and people being mistreated for a long time. So what's happening now is kind of a backlash or a response to a lot of oppression and vicious behavior.
Well, it is, and but that's going to happen on both sides. I mean, of course, the blacks are going to say, well, we're mad at you guys because of all this oppression from centuries ago. But you tell me how a 15-year-old kid who gets beaten up in school by a black gang feels like he's responsible for something that happened 500 years ago.
Right.
And who's responsible for when do white people have to stop paying for what happened centuries ago?
Let me ask you a question. Have you found, is Shit Dick having problems getting airplay on commercial radio?
I've never really attempted to have that played on commercial radio.
Yeah, there's the one that was
what's the biggest
Only
song?
because of the length of it. I think it's too long.
What's the biggest song on your record label right now?
Oh, it's really hard to say. We've got probably 600 different CD titles, and there's hundreds. In fact, there's thousands of white power bands. It's a growing underground in the music scene.
Yeah, most of them really suck, though.
Actually, you're not right about that. In fact, some of the CDs I can send you guys. Well, put it this way.
Yeah, it's a lot of the thrash metal that just sounds like crap, or country that just sounds like crap.
How much white power music have you actually listened to?
I've done my research.
Well,
sir.
listen here. We've got 6 streaming radio stations with over 6,000 MP3s, and for all the people that think our music sucks, they're welcome to go to Panzerfaust.com and listen to it.
Sir, I wasn't saying your music sucked. I gave a little toe tap to some of those tunes.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
Not a Hat
a lot of it. A Towel's Not a Hat is a great song.
Are there going to be any bands, by the way? I heard some of them are playing at the Downtown on December 23rd.
Jesus.
In Long Island?
Plugging whore.
Well, I want to know.
And that's when you're playing.
Oh, sorry.
You ass.
Downtown must be a gay bar, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great club in Long Island.
Byron, Harry in Ohio wants to say hi. Harry, what's up?
What's up, man? What the fuck's this guy's problem? He's a fucking moron. It's fucking, he ought to call his record label fucking penis mouth, because that's what he has in his fucking mouth. He's a douchebag.
Well, now...
Fucking white power bands ain't never gonna get off the ground. They're gonna stay underground just like fucking years ago, dude. I mean, you might as well forget it. There's not going to be a fucking race war. There's going to be a world war, if anything.
I got to agree with Harry on this one, Byron. I don't think there's enough people in your cause. I think that's kind of a good thing. I really, it's kind of hard to go to work when there's a race war going on.
Yep.
And I think taking some of the stuff you said earlier, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing that just because there's a lot of hate music coming out of black people, as far as, anti-white sentiment in their music, and it seems to be a record company acceptance of this. I don't think it's necessarily good that the reply is for white guys to get together and make equally hateful music of black people. I don't know if that's the answer.
It may or may not be a good thing, but you're going to have it. You're going to get it. There's a lot of people that are irritated with what's going on, and people that have sat back and allowed this to happen to our country really don't have a right to judge what form that backlash takes.
Yeah, well, the thing is, a lot of people are very apathetic. Things happen, we don't care, we go to work. Mm-hmm. How is this damaging? How is black rap bands and homosexuality, how is this damaging to the country?
Well, listen, multiculturalism is what causes racial tension. Racist people do not cause racial tension. Forced multiculturalism causes that, and multiculturalism is destroying this country on the one hand, but on the other hand, look, it's just art. I mean, if Robert Mapplethorpe can put elephant dung on Christian icons on stage and call it art, well, whether people like it or not, songs like Shit Dick, hey, that's people expressing themselves and their opinions.
That's something. I agree with you there. I think you should be able to say whatever the hell you want. And when it comes to music, I think anybody should be able to say whatever they want. But you can't expect acceptance from people, and you can't expect that just because you do have the right to say it, that it's really going to do anything but bring more hate into the picture,
Well, great, because if blacks are going to hate us, then great, let's get it on.
So you're
like the wheels come off.
You're more into a separatism. than keeping the races apart. You do what you do, we'll do what we do.
We agree. Us and Louis. If Louis Farrakhan ran for president, I might actually register to vote in this country. But until then, I'm not gonna.
And I got to disagree with one thing you said. Like I know what you're saying about like the political correctness has kind of made things go the other way. But as far as like in multiculturalism. Always fueling racial tension. Don't forget, man, and it's only 30 years ago or 35 years ago. In the South, racial tension started. There really wasn't much multiculturalism. It was a black culture and a white culture. Both people lived separate. It wasn't equal, and that was what started the tension. It wasn't necessarily that there was a mixing. It was that one was here, one was there, and one was good and one was shit.
Well, that's not really accurate. When the blacks had their own communities, their own neighborhoods, their own businesses, they were much better off. And blacks actually realized that it was actually integration and desegregation that destroyed the black community. Because then what you had was every black who could afford to move out of the ghetto could, and that left huge pockets of poverty where the kids had no role models and no tax base except for the pimps and the drug dealers.
But I'm talking about the resentment and the tension. I mean, do you think back then that there was equal protection given by the government and under the law, and equal protection given by the police, and people were treated the same in the legal system?
Well, no, of course not. And the thing is, they're not supposed to be. For example, do white people get treated equally in South Africa or Rhodesia? Does any culture or any race treat another culture or race, whether it's the Hindus or the Pakistanis, Hindus get mistreated in Pakistan?
Wait, you're saying that because they are a minority in the country that, you should just expect this?
Well, listen, all I'm saying is you cannot tell me of a place on this planet in history ever where multiculturalism has been nice and sweet and peaceful and everybody sat around and ate marshmallows and sang Kumbaya. Multiculturalism causes racial tension, period. Now, did blacks get mistreated in the South? I'm sure.
Well, but not to interrupt you, but you can't. Technically, he's right. Multiculturalism, where mixing races causes racial tension. But I mean, that's like saying you can only have domestic violence if a couple is married or lives together. I mean, obviously, by the nature of tension, you have to have two parties together. If it's racial, they have to be two different races. You're not going to have racial tension between two Italians. So it's kind of a non-point.
No, it is a point because obviously marriage is something that's good for society.
No, it's not.
The races is not good for society.
Marriage is not. I'm not going to say marriage is great for society. I mean, come on, marriage has kind of failed, wouldn't you say?
Well, I think the fact that these days people have kids without getting married, but look, for thousands of years in our culture and civilization, it was marriage that resulted in kids being born and the human race being promoted. I mean, whether these days marriage is a good thing or not, I don't know. But I mean,
Now, have you had any personal experiences that kind of led you in this direction? How old were you when you kind of got on the white pride kick?
Well, I'm 33 now. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I've been a white power skinhead since I was 17 years old. I've been to prison. I've lived in Africa. I've traveled the world. I've met a lot of different people. I'm not some dumbass that's never read a book. You know what I mean? I kind of know what's going on in this country.
Why were you in Africa?
Oh, actually, I went down to South Africa before Mandela got elected, to be honest, because I thought there was going to be a war down there.
Trying to find a suitable dock so when we send them all back, they know where to land.
Hey, I tell you what, if you want to see racial tension, you want to see racism, go see how the blacks treat each other in Africa.
I read about all that stuff every day in Rhodesia, and it's a mess. It's a complete mess.
But is that racial tension or is that more tribal?
No, it's racial tension to them because they consider themselves to be a separate, distinct race. For example, if a Xhosa gets caught screwing somebody from the Zulu tribe, they kill them both. They consider that race mixing. And I've had blacks in Africa tell me to my face, you let your American blacks come here and call themselves Africans, we'll make slaves out of them. Because if you're a mixed tribe, they consider that to be racially mixed. The same as the Indian tribes in America. You know, everybody plays the sad violin music about Indians in America. You know, they basically came here by following trails of buffalo shit from China, you know. There's nothing holy or magic about Indians. And they used to slaughter each other by the tens of thousands, and that was racial tension. These tribes, a lot of the names for these tribes was the people. They didn't consider the other tribes to even be human. And they would slaughter each other over killing grounds. That was two different cultures, or they considered themselves two different races, competing over resources. That was racial tension.
So you're saying that are you saying that we should basically adopt the same mentality as, say, 16th century Indians lopping each other's heads off? Or scalps, whatever it is they did?
Well, no, I mean the Indian example I gave was just that. It's an example, but it's an example of racial tension existing with or without white people. You know, these people seem to think if they can do away with the white racists, you're going to do away with racial tension.
Who says that?
Happen.
No. You made a point about it happening in Pakistan and India and all over the world. There's problems with Islam and the rest of the world that have nothing to do with white people. It's not all about white people.
I think he's talking about in this country, people feel if they get rid of the white racists, everybody's going to be all happy and live together in harmony. And he says no.
There's a professor at Harvard called
I think there's a few of them over there.
Okay,
yeah.
He's a Jewish professor.
What's his name?
His name is Noel Ignatieff. He's a Jewish Harvard professor. He actually advocates the extinction of the white race.
I've never heard that. Where can we back this up? I mean, you're saying it, but if you can kind of say anything, where can we find this out? I've never heard this before.
Well, you know what?
Who cares if he did?
You can Google him up. He's got a website called racetrader.org. He's a Harvard professor. It's it shouldn't take a 10-year-old kid 5 minutes on Google to verify that.
Oh, you can meet a lot of good 10-year-old kids if you Google them. I'm kind of off the subject. I'm just saying. But what's that got to do with anything?
Well, what it's got to do with is, well, put it this way, too. White people make up less than 8% of the Earth's population, okay? But whenever you hear people talking about fighting racism, they're talking about fighting white racism. What I'm saying is there's a lot of racial tension, there's a lot of racism in the world, but when you hear people talking about fighting racism, it's always the white guys.
Well, I got to be honest. You're right, it's been forever, but let's be honest. In the last 100 years, as far as the military is concerned, white people have pretty much, you got to give the thumbs up to us. As far as Germany, world domination, I mean, Napoleon, most of the guys that have been popular or well known for looking for world domination are white. I'm not saying it's been that way throughout history, but at least in the last, couple hundred years, white people have pretty much had the market, cornered on that. And here.
Yeah, but you have to remember something. That's not because of lack of desire, it's because of lack of ability. For example, when people say, well, the Indians never polluted before the white man came. Well, that's because they hadn't invented a goddamn chimney stack. When you go to South America and you show them people a chainsaw, they'll clear their goddamn rainforest in a heartbeat. The thing is, before we came along, they'd never invented a chainsaw, so of course they couldn't have, now of course if you don't have weapons of mass destruction, of course, how can you dominate the world when you're fighting with a stick with a rock tied to it,
Yeah, but I'm just, lack of desire or lack of ability notwithstanding, I'm just making the point that that's why white people probably have gotten the bad rap in the last 100 years.
Well, you say, for whatever reason, but the reason being that the Europeans have been able to come up with some really great inventive machinery that made it that much easier to make their attempt at world domination.
Yeah, and they've been good at it.
Well, but look at what about all the good things racist white people have done? The fact that you've got a computer is because of a racist man called Professor William Shockley, who was a PhD. He was a racist. Put it this way. You look around your studio, everything you see with your eyes was invented by a racist white guy.
A racist white guy.
Somebody invented...
How is that? Now you're getting a little far-fetched.
Somebody invented a prosthetic bulge for the front of a producer's pants?
Well, I guess you got me on that one, guy.
Now, how can you...
But I bet you whoever invented that probably didn't like niggers.
How can you say that it's invented by racist white people?
Easy. Before a few decades ago, being racially conscious was the norm. I mean, look, Henry Ford, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. Look in history. If you look at your printer, look at the telephone, look at, paper, pencil, you name it, it was probably invented a long time ago by white guys, and this whole fad, this failed social experiment of multiculturalism has kind of become popular since the 1960s. Before that, for thousands of years, we were all racist and white. If you're white, your ancestors were racist. Otherwise, you'd be picking shit with the chickens in some mud hut in Africa somewhere.
Watson, come quick. There's a darky behind me.
Wasn't that Alexander Graham Bell's first word over the telephone?
I don't know.
But to make a statement like, well, it was probably invented by... I'm sure there's plenty of white races that have invented things, but you just can't say that everything you're looking at was probably invented by a white guy who didn't like blacks and kind of present it as a fact.
Well, racism was the norm. Look at NASA. Who flew to the moon? Oh, those are racist white guys.
Racist? You're saying Neil Armstrong was a racist?
Yeah, they were white guys, but why racist white guys?
Buzz Aldrin?
You're not really explaining yourself with that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you'd have to have some knowledge of the world and how things work, but I mean, before the 1960s, everybody was racially conscious, and there wasn't a whole lot of, you know, the stuff that we see today with the race mixing and the multiculturalism and all that crap, that shit didn't fly before the 1960s.
You're saying they went to the moon to get further away from the queers?
Yeah.
You know,
and then Neil Armstrong jumped on the moon because he didn't want to look at the dark side?
You know, that's a theory. I think I'm going to look into that one.
No, but you can't just say because people are racially conscious and now it's become a crime to mention race at all due to political correctness. It doesn't mean that everybody
doesn't
was
assume that
racist.
Everybody back then had to be racist. You know, that's a little far-fetched.
The vast majority were. If you look at, you could look at anything from Supreme Court justices to the presidents to people like Mark Twain, Henry Ford. That was the norm. Anybody that has any
I understand. I'm not look. I'm not going to say that some of your points aren't valid. I'm not going to throw a blanket over everything you say just because that's your platform and say it's all bullshit. There are a couple of things that you're saying that you make a valid point. Whether you agree with it or not is another thing. But you're making valid points. But then to say that just because back then we didn't have this racial diversity we have now doesn't necessarily mean that every white guy that was inventing something was like, you know, turning a wrench going, oh, goddamn nigger. Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing is they probably didn't have to do that to that extent. Without the multiculturalism, there was really no need for racial tension, but it was a healthy environment. People were racially conscious, and you know, I can't argue with you and split hairs about every single guy that ever invented anything. Was a hardcore.
So
white
you know, try
supremacist.
to keep those blanket statements out of your talking. I think
Byron,
you do a lot better.
What was the event in your life that turned you into a racist? By the way,
well,
it had to be something.
You know, really, to be honest with you, it came from my life experience. There was never any one particular.
But there
thing.
must have been a day where you just, you know, your whole philosophy, how you thought about things, just drastically changed. Like there had to be that one thing.
No, there really wasn't. It was a period. I mean, I grew up in the South. So, I mean, I probably was raised about as racist as anybody is. But after reading enough books and getting enough life experience, you kind of start to draw some conclusions. But, you know, one of the biggest recruiters for our movement in this country is black people doing what they do every single day. And, you know, to be honest, the amount of mainstream support that we get would probably shock and disappoint people like you and your listeners maybe. But we hear from people that you don't hear from. And I'm talking kids, parents, teachers, cops, lawyers, people that come to us and tell us what's going on in their area that they're not going to say, you know, publicly because there's a price to be paid socially for being racially conscious. But I hear it, and like I said, we've got tens of thousands of customers, and they're coming from somewhere.
All right.
No, you know why? I could see what you mean, but you know, I don't think that's an answer to it. I think you know, everybody who isn't pissed off at you know, when you look at the news and you see a pattern on the news and you look and go, oh my God, again, look, another black guy did this, it could be blamed on the media. I've heard that excuse used, things like that. But it gets people upset. But I don't think the answer is to rush into a white power group and start preaching hate against races and sex and religion. I think the thing you can do is live your life as a good guy. You know, set an example through your actions. You know, you go to work every day. You toe the line. You know, and you know, perhaps people will take your example. I don't think it's good to run out there and just start doing the opposite. Like you're doing the same thing that the thugs are doing. But you're at the other, you know, end of the light spectrum, that's all.
Well, we're not doing the same thing the thugs are doing. The thugs are out there selling crack, carjacking old ladies, you know, serial raping college students. That's what's going on out there.
Yeah, but you're kind of preaching the elimination of entire peoples, you know? It's kind of like, you know, kill the nigger. That's, you know, that's kind of like what about the law-abiding black people that are, you know, working, raising families and
Hey, look, I mean, you can pick a few of our, a few of our song lyrics I mean, look, our music is pretty extreme. There's no getting around that. And we don't censor our bands. We've got dozens of bands on our label. We don't censor them. Some of them have different points from each other, but our party line or the thing that we're telling kids is not go out and let's see if we can exterminate black people.
I think they would pick that up from some of the songs.
Well, you know, they might, and you know, when it's against the law to say shocking and outrageous things, then we'll turn ourselves in, and until then, they can pound it up their ass.
Yeah, we're on the same page with you there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what
We
you're
definitely agree with
saying
that.
as far as the freedom to put that out, but yeah.
No one's saying that you constitutionally aren't protected. I mean, no one says you can't write songs like that or publish them.
Play whatever you
No,
want.
but everybody says you got the right to do it. But see, there's a lot of things that guys in your position wouldn't be aware of, like what people have to put up with to do what this is. For example, the other day we
get it.
No, trust me, we get it.
We got kicked off the air 2 years ago. What are you talking about? We've
Trust
had the
me,
same...
we get it.
know. Hey, listen, I used to listen to you guys, like when you pulled that chick's wig off, and I was pretty hardcore, by the way. But I used to live outside Washington D.C.
The racist thinks that was hardcore, Anthony. I guess I am the devil.
That is really.
I'm the white devil.
Everybody that I knew, like on job sites where there were still any white people left on construction job sites, everybody that I knew listened to you guys.
Right.
And everybody that I knew listened to my music and loved it and agreed with me. So there's probably a lot more of your listeners.
Byron, I'm not going to lie to you. We've been playing your songs for the last 2 days, and we're kind of laughing.
They're funny. I think they're catchy. There's a few of them though that are just pure hate. If you take some and you're mature enough to listen to these and take it for what I think some of them are is kind of a joke, kind of goofy. I mean, the passion behind why they wrote it might be what you're preaching, but for me to listen to it, I'm laughing. I'm kind of a dark, well, don't take it personally, not that way. I'm white, but no, I like the dark humor and stuff like that. Shut up, ass.
Yeah, you're Italian.
I'm Italian.
You're dark Italian. I don't know what's going on over there.
I'm not dark Italian.
We're going to start looking at you differently now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm shaving my head tomorrow.
hey, come on, white power.
White power, everybody.
White power, people.
Hey, listen, those songs that you guys are playing, they're, we got a sense of humor, too. We're not all a bunch of mouth-breathing idiots that hate everybody. We got a sense of humor. Those are funny songs, but...
Well, at the end of the day, that's what our jobs are here with our show. We're trying to make people laugh, and sometimes it's, one of these really just out there dark songs that are making people laugh,
Well,
I don't see the point in just playing one of the songs that are just over-the-top hateful.
No, that's why I didn't send you a bunch of those, but do you know how many hits...
You didn't?
Of websites. You know how many hits one of our websites gets off of people doing Google searches for...
Byron, I have no doubt that you're very popular. There's no doubt about it. So,
but it's the jokes, the funny songs and the jokes. There's probably 30,000 people a month do a Google search for just nigger jokes. So I mean, the jokes are funny. Some people think they're outrageous and offensive, and other people just think they're funny.
All right, let me ask you this about the distribution of your CDs. A lot of controversy here. You're dropping these things off at schools?
Well, what we're doing is we're selling them in bulk, or we're just boxing them up and sending them to our people. And we went through our first 20,000 sampler CDs in about 12 days, and we ordered the other 80,000, and we've gone through about 10 or 15,000 of those. And people are basically just distributing them to kids in their area.
So what you're saying is, hey, I'm just boxing them up and sending them out. Other people can give them to whoever the hell they want, and you kind of wash your hands of it after you box them up and send them out.
For the most part. In other words, we're not giving people instructions on where to hand them out. I mean,
what do you think about these songs going to kids that are, as young as maybe 13 or early teens?
I think it's great. If these kids are old enough to listen to this anti-white rap music, or look at video games like Grand Theft Auto 3, where kids learn how to beat up hookers and smoke crack and carjack people.
I love that.
Yeah, we
game.
love that game.
That's great. Well, if the kids are old enough for that, they're old enough for our music. And,
technically, they're not, but
we're like any other company. We're distributing samples of our product, and I tell you what, it's huge. The kids are eating it up.
All right,
I don't doubt it.
Well, let's. I guess we'll thank Byron for giving his point of view today.
Sure, Byron. Thank you.
Any plugs, Byron?
Nah, what the hell? They'll find us. They got Google.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man.
Good luck to you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
All right.
See those.
Good luck to you, buddy.
Good luck to you, buddy. Opie.
Fucking worm.
Try to keep some.
Take care. Thank you for being on the program.
Good
hey,
luck to you.
Godspeed from your lips to God's ears.
Little.
Good luck to him. I don't know.
Good luck to you, buddy.
Try to keep a little neutrality here, Opie,
Yeah.
as a journalist.
Jesus.
Hey, good luck. Hey,
We're not
fight
journalists.
the power. Fight the power.
Yeah.
Fight for the good cause.
We're not journalists.
Too bad he wasn't here. You could wink at him and thumbs up him, you blonde-haired Nazi. Take it easy. Perfect race.
That was just my way of giving,
Hey,
some
thoughts and
love.
prayers.
Thank
Thoughts
you.
and prayers.
No.
Can I tell you how hard it is to actually have to argue in favor of the liberal point of view? Jesus,
Oh,
is that
I know.
difficult?
Jesus Christ, I know.
You know,
You got it back and forth. You know,
now we can play this song because he told us he only sent us the funny ones.
No, he did not send us just the funny ones.
How is this song considered funny?
Written in the good old days, I see.
The house next door to me's been sold to niggers. They claim to be wild Indians from the plains. Oh, but they ain't a shucking me, they're colored people. We'll make cowboys and niggers our new game.
Yeah, that's not quite the
Last
humor.
night when I come home, I was warmly greeted, but not by my sweet wife saying, hello, dear.
Uh-oh.
Instead it was, hello, there, white mammy jamma. Says, how does you like us dark folks living here?
All right. Sax solo.
There you have it.
Wow.
To answer your question, how can it be considered funny? I think it's kind of silly when real estate deals go awry.
Is that what you took out of that song?
Yes, that there was like somebody was supposed to buy the house and the financing got messed up and somebody else bought the house.
Hey, John, what's up?
Hey, I just wanted to say that Anthony and Norton do a much better interview than Larry King, and I'm not kidding. Straight up.
Yeah, no, they did great with him.
Man. I mean, honestly, it's probably the best interview you'll have with that guy in the next few weeks.
Well, you know what it is? It's like obviously I disagree a lot with what he's saying, and Anthony was right. He does make some valid points. As a person, you can't just throw a blanket, emotional, knee-jerk reaction statement and go, "Oh, you're fucking racist, evil." You know, there are points that are valid and points that are invalid.
Right, and he's going to do mainstream media, and they're going to have his cause because they're going to cut him off, and he's not going to be able to have an intelligent
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I'm serious. It's
Yeah,
like,
if he's on I don't know, CNN, and he's sitting there
Bill
doing
O'Reilly.
an interview with them, they won't even let him get a word in. They're gonna let him get enough a rope out to hang himself with. He'll say a few things, and then they'll just write off everything. You can't write off everything the guy says, just like you certainly should never agree with something with everything somebody says either. You know, weigh it out. The guy's right about black people pretty much being able to write songs and being distributed by major record labels without having to answer for anything. You know, and that's considered music, and it does win awards, and it's hateful to women. It's hateful to white people. It's hateful to any other races besides blacks. I've heard it before. You know, I used to listen to Ghetto Boys. I used to listen to NWA. And the stuff is just hateful. Damn entertaining, I'll say that. But, you know, you got to look at the other side. The guy was making valid points when it comes out. Some of his points off the fucking wall. I think the whole reaction that black people doing that kind of hate music and putting it into song and winning awards, I don't think the answer to it is to then get in your garage with a bunch of white guys with skinheads and preach, you know, hate in the other direction. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think that's it.
I got another example, Anthony. He said he only sent us songs that were funny.
Right.
This one is just brutal.
Brutal.
How is this funny?
Hey, Jew, don't tell me lies about gas chambers in Auschwitz. 6 million Sheenies are alive with their circumcised sons, ugly daughters and wives.
He's trying to do a Nazi
hey,
accent.
Jew, the new Reich is here, and this time it is for real.
Oh, really?
We have to stop your worldwide desecration of man. You're Satan's spawn and not the chosen. Hey, Jew, in your synagogue, preaching hatred for the Gentile. Remember, we know what you're up to. You too. Zionism is communism.
Oh.
There's no denying.
Gave up on rhyming and everything. I don't think the new Reich is going to go very far when it's just guys in a garage.
I'll tell you how it's funny, though. It makes you realize what it would sound like if Carol Kane sang with the Internet is for Porn guy. And it's also nice how they took out the piano and put in the
cheesy acoustic.
The guitar, yeah.
The cheesy acoustic guitar.
All right, we got to take a break.
You sure do, Ope.
Yeah.